Our next little surprise may be a bit smaller than me-high, but don't let this delicious life coach and sabotage slayer fool you, as her passion is dedicated to helping professional women explore their edges, go beyond the mundane, and unleash their inner badass. Warm welcome to Krisha Young.
Hello, everybody. Wow, how amazing has tonight been? I have been completely blown away backstage listening to everybody's story. And I have a confession of my own that I want to make tonight. And I have to tell you that I'm actually really nervous up here telling you this confession. As you heard, I am a coach and I own my own business and, whatever. I live this delicious life. But my confession to you is that, and this is something that I actually have not shared publicly before. I struggle behind the scenes with my own mental illnesses. I have anxiety and depression that I deal with on a daily basis. And I thought, you know what? It's time that we break the silence around this stuff. Thank you for that. And literally, this is like hard for me to admit because, I got it all together and, I'm a coach, so what are people gonna think about me having these things behind the scenes? And I know that there are so many people out there who struggle in the dark like this, professional people to anybody out there. There is so much shame around it that we have to have this sort of like veneer and pretend that everything is okay, when sometimes it actually isn't. And so that's why I wanted to be brave and just say, you know what, fuck it. I struggle, and and it's all good, and it's okay if you struggle too. So I want to tell you a little bit about my background. My mom was addicted to alcohol and pills and all sorts of stuff. And I grew up with basically picking up my mom off the floor pretty much every single day. Listening to her stories about, how, poor her, we moved around all the time. I went to a new school every year. I really didn't have any friends growing up. And the running dialogue in my head as a kid was that I just was completely unlovable. I was not good enough. I didn't even really know or understand why I was on this earth. And that was just the running train through my head throughout my entire life. And I made a lot of decisions from that place, and it's obviously a thought pattern that's quite, it drags you down. Anyway, my mom and I fought a lot, as you can imagine. There was this sort of part of me that thought, this is kind of not normal, and I'm not really feeling this stuff, but it was where I lived with my mom, so I didn't have a choice. But we fought a lot, and it was normally because I was telling her, like, what the heck, like, this is just not cool. And we got into this one epic fight when I was 16 years old, and she kicked me out of the house for the second time at 10:30 at night, and I had $70 in my pocket and nowhere to go. So I don't know, by some miracle, I ended up couch surfing as opposed to on the streets. And I ended up in a rather, destructive relationship for around 10 years. I was from 16 till around 25. It was emotionally abusive, financially abusive, sometimes physically abusive. And I thought that I deserved that. I thought that this was normal. And the depression and the anxiety and all those things that were going through my head, I really thought that it was normal. I didn't have any tools. I didn't know how to think any other way. Anyway, I don't have time to tell you all the story. So let's fast forward about a decade or so, and I'm finding myself in a new, healthier, loving relationship, and I get pregnant. And I was like, You can slide change now. Show my boys. Yeah, so I found out I'm pregnant, and I was like, oh my God, okay, I have to do something about, those are my boys. This was just this September. And I thought, I gotta do something about this. I cannot bring these destructive patterns and this destructive mindset into my kid's life. I just couldn't. And so I started on this, now this deep dive 7-year journey so far into personal development, which is taking me to where I am today. And at the time, I started where I was at, so I wanted to lose weight, and I did what any self-respecting type A high performer does. I went to nutrition school. I didn't just go on a diet, I actually went to school. But I knew also at that time that I wanted to get out of corporate, and I wanted to help people in some really profound way. And so nutrition was just sort of the gateway that I walked into. And I lost 60 pounds, I reversed migraines, I stopped having really bad digestive issues, and I started coaching women on how to do the same. And that also opened up the door for me into a deep dive into personal development, and that has been my journey ever since. And from that place, I've learned a whole whack of tools in order to help me better deal and better manage my depression and my anxiety, and to teach other people how to do the same. And you can imagine, as an entrepreneur, I mean, when you're picking up the phone and trying to have a sales call, I don't know how many people here sell for themselves, but there is absolutely nothing like hearing 100 no's to people who don't want to work with you to activate that fear of abandonment, right? And so more times than I can count, I've been on the floor, ugly crying, going, what's wrong with me? So I needed to develop some tools. And I want to share with you a method that I use myself and that I teach my clients, and it's grit. And I think that you probably heard this evening, and you're going to hear again after I'm done here, that it takes grit in order to be able to, keep going in life no matter what, comes at you. So, oh, that's the wrong slide. Anyway, doesn't matter. So grit is an acronym that I use, and the G is for growth and gratitude. So in order for you to really be able to open up to a new way of thinking and a new way of being, no matter what the world has handed to you, a growth mindset is really what's needed. You need to be able to, put the armor down and say, okay, is there a different way for me to look at this rather than having that fixed, closed-off mindset? And in honor of Gratitude Day, gratitude, right? Gratitude is the thing that I struggled with the most. You hear about it all the time, be grateful, blah, blah, blah. And I was always like, well, how can I be grateful when I don't have this thing and that thing? And it was all this conditioning that I had to undo to be able to actually feel gratitude in my body. And I'm grateful to say that that is part of my daily practices. R is for resilience and rest. We have this thing where we feel like we need to constantly go, grind our face into the pavement, and that's a sign of success. And I'm rewriting the rules for that as a business owner and an entrepreneur. I don't believe that that's the way we need to operate in order to be successful or in order to, achieve things in life. I think we can have some ease and flow with it all, and I think all that grinding also just adds to the anxiety, which then spins you out of control and can lead to depression as well. I is for your intuition and that inner knowing. Again, a lot of people don't trust that inner voice, and that's the voice that says, I knew it. I knew I should have done that thing, or I knew I should have said that, or whatever. And it's always that in that hindsight, right? But if you can learn to listen to that voice and trust that voice, and unfortunately, we're not trained at all to listen to that voice. We're trained to listen to the media. We're trained to listen to everything else except that voice within. And that voice will guide you without fail. right? And when we step away from listening to that, that's when things can like spin out of control and a lot of anxiety, at least for me anyway. When I stop listening to my intuition, that's when my anxiety gets out of control. And then T is for a few different things. I keep adding to my acronyms here. But T is for trust. So you want to trust in something outside of yourself, right? What I find with the people that I work with and in my world, there's a lot of like need for control. And that need for control, that holding on so tight, can make anxiety and make depression at this level a lot worse. And when I started to let go and trust that there is another force out there, and it can be whatever it is that you believe in, it doesn't matter. When I started to let go to a higher power, if you will, and recognize that I wasn't alone and trust in the people in my life, that I could lean on them and that they're going to be there for me, a lot of my anxiety started to calm down. T is also for truth. When you're speaking your truth, when you are aligned and you are unapologetically speaking your truth, like I did, like these women did tonight and will do after me, when you speak it, it really just kind of neutralizes everything and nobody can say anything because it's your truth, right? And I find that when we're hiding parts of ourselves because we're ashamed of it for whatever reason, that's when these conditions can start to get a lot worse. My mom passed away 3 years ago from pancreatic cancer. My sister and I found 7 bottles of vermouth in her apartment. And she was on so much medication, none of it for cancer. It was all pills and painkillers and all kinds of stuff. It was literally a book. And even in her last moments, I was begging her to live out the last few days that she had, or the last few weeks or months or whatever it was, with this new light, with some positivity and gratitude and all of that. But she just she couldn't hear me. And so I made it my mission at that point that I was going to share this and, show people that no matter what, no matter what cards you've been dealt in life, it doesn't matter. All of that stuff happens for you, not to you. And if you can just take that and use that grit, use those tools, and remember things like meditation and mindfulness are such big, huge, massive tools for helping manage any kind of mental health issue, that it's possible. So that's what I wanted to leave everybody here with tonight, was that no matter what it is, no matter what your story is, if you can get into that gratitude and you can get into that space of raising your hand and eliminating the shame around whatever it is, that it's okay and you're going to be okay and you can still be successful and still have whatever it is that you want in life, no matter what. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much for hearing my story. And being a safe space for me to share that. And that's all I wanted to say. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the show.